It's time for the show that brings the magic right to your speakers. Ears Up!
What's going on, everybody? EarzUp podcast. We are back together. This is my favorite time of the week, or the every other week, or I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's a favorite thing that
Often
we do.
enough.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Not like I'm in here every day or anything. But we are back on the show. We're talking Disney stuff, specifically Genie Plus. Woo. Now, a couple months ago, I think it was, RGH threatened me with a good time, and he goes, I've used the Genie Plus on both coasts, so I can, I can tell you all about it if you want. I'm like, yeah, sure, dude. Let's talk about it.
That's exactly how you sound, RGH.
Yeah.
Yes, just like that.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, so, and I'm curious about it, having never used it, but potentially we'll use it in January. No, yeah, I think January when we go to the parks. Finally, if that happens, we'll see. I don't know. But yeah, I'm curious, man, because I've heard differing stories about it. I've heard that it stinks. I've heard that it's not that bad. I've heard that it's complicated. And I've heard that it stinks. So I don't know how much positivity is going to be, coming through. I don't know. I have no idea. But I have yet to speak with anybody who goes, you know what? Flawless, helped me have a fantastic time. Everything was great. And I knew when it was rolling out, I'm like, this is going to take a while. It's going to take a while to build up the information. It's going to take a while to get some tweaks because when you roll about a big software like this, that takes a giant chunk out of people's planning for the day. You're not going to be able to please everybody.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to make some tweaks and stuff like that. It's like a AAA video game.
Yeah,
there's going to be updates.
Sure.
Yeah,
got to get the hacks,
the hack
secrets.
Videos.
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. So Ryan, you were going to talking to us about that.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm excited. Like I said, I can't wait. Can't wait for it.
I'm excited because it feels like having to learn a foreign language from something that I felt like I knew everything about.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a certain element of that. Eric and I were chatting about that earlier this week, that they're right now the parks do take some knowledge to get into, right? Which is unfortunate for folks who don't want to invest that time. It's fortunate if you do invest that time because it makes things really enjoyable and arguably better than they were. But it on the trade-off there is you have to spend the time and you have to learn the things, which is not the most comfy thing in the world, but that's why we're here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's
At least
right.
you.
Yeah, right. My thing with it, again, having not used it one iota, is that it seems needless. It really does. I could see it on the back end where Disney wants to be able to manipulate the crowds and relieve the pressure from one ride and put it to the other and steer people towards stuff they may not experience. And I totally understand that. But I think that level of like micro control isn't needed. But maybe it is. Maybe
that's
Ryan
also the
can
part
tell
of it
us.
that's working the worst.
Yeah.
If we're being
Regular
honest.
free Genie.
Yeah.
It's
free
weird.
free Genie is working the worst, I would say. And I think the problem is there's a lot of companies, and not to get into the topic too much, but there's a lot of companies out there that are doing that better than Disney is. And so Disney's caught on the back foot playing catch up and not doing well at it.
Okay, well, that's the show then, I guess.
Yeah, there we go.
The TLDR of what's going on is that they're not doing great. No, we're going to get into all that. But of course, if you're going to the parks, be sure and hit up Concierge. Go to concierge.com first and foremost. You can buy tickets from them and they will charge you nothing more. We got Bev over here. Nothing more than just shake your glass full of ice. It's fine. There's not a sound magnifying device in front of you or anything.
I put it down below. I thought I wouldn't catch it.
No, of course it is. Of course it's going to catch it. Are you crazy? What are you, crazy? Anyway, they're going to get you set up at the parks. And, even if you already know how to go to the parks and if you already know how to plan and you want to stay at a specific hotel and you don't want to deal with all that, at least buy tickets from Concierge. It costs you no extra money. And then while you're at the parks, if you want some tips or you want some help booking a reservation for dinner or Oga's Cantina or whatever happens, I don't really know. Concierge will help you out. You get a little concierge, you can text me, go beep, boop, boop. Hey, brother, hook me up with Carthay, dining reservation things, man. I don't know, secured a big deal or something. I don't know, whatever people do when they're not riding rides at Disneyland. And concierge will help you out for free. So check them out, concierge.com. Eric.
Yes.
Speaking of concierge,
Whoa.
you want to talk windows or what, buddy?
Yeah, let's talk some windows.
You've taken over Terrence's segment, I think, and then now you're taking over Bev's windows.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
I did not know this. This
Yeah.
is exciting.
Yeah. I've told them this, and I've expressed my extreme feelings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know, pleasure, displeasure. Let's just say feelings.
You have
about
extreme
this.
feelings. You don't seem like a
Yes.
man that has extreme feelings. It's either neutral or you're in pain.
It's neutral, pain, and also beige.
Oh,
Mm.
you are a beige tan boy.
Yes.
You love a
Right.
beige color scheme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And right now I'm wearing a tan shirt and khaki pants, which
Of course you
worked
are.
better today when I was wearing a blue shirt over this tan shirt.
Yeah, because I feel like you can't wear two different tones of tan.
They
Just
matched
look like a Band-Aid.
surprisingly well, and I did not plan that.
Stand up. Let's see it.
Okay. Let's see.
All right.
All right. We've got
You know what? They do. Yes, they do match surprisingly well. However, at first glance, you just look nude.
that's what I go for on a daily basis. It really unnerves my employees.
You do the double take. You're like, what? I thought that man was naked. But no, he's just wearing tan.
Yeah, they're just used to it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of a never nude, you're an always tan.
Yes.
All right.
Always tan.
All right, Eric. What window are we talking about, buddy?
Don Edgren. That's the window we're talking about.
Okay.
Our pal Don was born on 9/11, 1923.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I suppose a lot of people were born on 9/11s.
I mean, yeah. Even in 1923.
It does
Yeah.
happen.
It happened a lot, and it will probably happen again. Probably.
No, just never
Yeah.
again.
But not in 1923 again. Right? Probably not.
Probably not again. No.
Okay. Well, he passed on December 28th, 2006. So this is now a tragedy.
Oh, man. See,
man.
Yeah.
it's like a Greek story. It's a comedy and then it's a tragedy.
We're all
Right.
over the place.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, make up your mind. Was he dead? Was he alive? What's going on?
What kind of story is this?
Yeah. So far, I give your story a 2 out of 10.
All right. We got room to improve. Don flew as a bomber pilot in World War II. He worked as an engineer with a firm that serviced Disneyland, and that's how he got in with Disneyland itself and became, in what might be his pinnacle, the chief field engineer on the Matterhorn.
Okay.
Chief field engineer.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. So he's
Yes.
like the head engineer in charge of the Matterhorn.
Yeah. Boots on
Okay.
the ground. This is how that should work,
Okay.
sort of guy. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, so let's rewind to 1942, years after he was born on September 11th. I don't know if he joined the Army Air Forces on September 11th, but he joined them and flew 45 combat missions in the Pacific during World War II.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Don, after the war ended, got some odd jobs around town, got a degree in engineering, and then in 1954 through 1961, he worked for the company Wheeler and Gray Structural Engineers. This company was one of those that was contracted to help open Disneyland Park, and they continued to consult for years. You don't hear a lot about Wheeler and Gray. You hear about companies like Aero Development that did a lot of the rides.
Yeah.
Right.
But Wheeler and Gray were there for a lot of this as well, and they continued to help out for a long time. In June 1961, he was offered a job at WED Enterprises, so heading over to become an early Imagineer. According to Don, during his interview, Walt walked into the room with plans for building the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse and peppered him with questions about what was feasible and how to get the thing built.
During his interview?
During his interview.
Wow.
That's the most Walt thing I can think of.
Right.
It's like he doesn't care. He's just trying to get his park done, and if this man can help, cool. I'm just gonna ask.
Right.
I'm gonna ask him questions.
If he doesn't have answers, don't hire him. I don't know.
Right.
But also, like, pay me for my ideas, man. Jeez.
I suppose eventually they did, and he worked for them for a while.
True.
Apparently, Wheeler and Gray are still around,
Ooh.
consulting engineers.
Nice. Still consulting, still
Yeah.
engineering. Wheeler and Gray.
That's actually their tagline, which is weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Are you on
okay.
their website? That's so odd.
1963, Don went to New York as the lead engineer on the Ford Magic Skyway as part of the World's Fair.
Nice.
In 1969, he moved to Florida to be the vice president of Florida Engineering, not just engineering, Florida Engineering.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Instead of stand your ground, it's level your ground so we can build on it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he helped build the place, and then he became the VP in charge of Walt Disney World. In 1974, he was the lead engineer on the Magic Kingdom Space Mountain. And then he briefly left the company to pursue some other endeavors. In 1979, he returned.
Yay!
Don was back because he was invited back to become the director of engineering for Tokyo Disneyland.
Oh.
It feels like
It's a big job.
Yeah, that time it feels like there's a lot of people who left and then came back.
Right.
It's like sort of like a revolving door of talent in the 60s and 70s that
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because Disney World was going and they needed that push to, they needed old hands to, help out in that regard. So I don't know if they were like contacted and reached out to and said, hey, let's get Don back in here and get all these people or what.
I also wonder if they left around that time because if you think movie wise, there wasn't really a lot of great movies at that time. Like in that time frame, like 60s and 70s, right? Like it was kind of like before then there was a lot of good movies, and then in the 80s there was good movies, but that time period there wasn't a lot.
Well, the work was drying up for people who were in the physical building aspect of the company.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the time that they built Tokyo Disneyland, they were also building Epcot. So they needed tons of people, and they needed people they relied on. So they called Don. Don moved to Tokyo for several years. Can you imagine a man who's, 1979, 56, a 56-year-old World War II veteran who killed a lot of people in the Pacific, moved to Japan for 4 years.
That's got to be either uncomfortable or like, he's just king of the world at that point. He's walking around like, I basically own this place. I mean, probably not, more often than not, these people, from World War II, like, look, it was a job. I was doing my thing. You know what I mean? I don't think there was a whole lot of like identity really built into them serving, as veterans maybe, but I don't know. That's the vibe that I get.
No, that's fair. Yeah. Yeah,
not like it is now. I feel like
most people didn't brag about what they did in the war and the way that.
Yeah, you didn't talk about it. Yeah, well, even like my grandpa, he flew like it was a PB 89 or something, like the Black Cats, the big recovery ships. He was like a radar radio guy.
Oh, okay.
He would go and like his crew would like pick up the guys who got shot down in the Pacific Theater.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of neat. But he never, like, I talked to my uncle about it. He goes, I don't know, Dad never really mentioned it, So like some of what we know is like in history books and it's online, but he never talked about it. And he wasn't in a gunner ship. He wasn't, shooting people down. He wasn't on the field. He was running radio and radar. And it's like, pulling sailors out of the water, pulling them off islands and stuff like that. And, but he didn't talk about it either. So I can imagine that. Yeah. So it's weird. You have that generational story sort of like locked behind, I would say the paywall, but that would tip you off that I'm too online is when I call things a paywall.
Yeah. No, I get it. My grandpa did the same thing where when I asked him about World War II, he would just talk about, oh, it was great. We were on this big boat and it
was great.
We would fight for it. Basically, whoever won whatever contest they had could sleep in the hammock at the front of the ship.
Nice.
And I'm like, that's it. Oh, one time we got bombed. And my station, I almost died, but I was downstairs fixing a sink. What?
I guess lucky.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, Grandpa.
And I
Same
feel
thing.
like the people who are like proud and vocal about it, it's not about what they did. It's about I was there. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, he was always
think
proud.
that's-
He had pictures of the ship and everything that he was on. And
I think it also differs by which theater they were deployed in. Because I feel like folks who were deployed in the European theater tend to be a little bit more vocally proud than the Pacific theater.
Yeah, Pacific, they were on boats in a plane. That seems
Yeah.
like easy.
yeah.
You're not digging a trench and
Oh,
living
yeah,
in
that
trench
really is-
foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, Grandpa was Coast Guard. He was proud of what he did, and he never talked much about it. And I was
Welcome
too
to
young really dig
Hardcore
it out of him.
History Podcast.
Yeah.
Dan Carlin, eat your heart out, brother. We're coming for you, buddy. History podcast. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, Don Edgren, talking about history, moved to Tokyo for several years to set up Tokyo Disneyland. In 1983, he returned to the USA and was now the director of all project engineers for the entire company. And several years later, in 1987, he retired. 2006, he was named a Disney legend along with, at this particular session, Elton John and Peter Jennings, people that had nothing to do with Don Edgren. Now, during his time with the company, Don was, as I mentioned earlier, in charge of the Matterhorn project. Harriet Burns, one of the legendary Imagineers, said of him, they said it wasn't feasible to put toboggans, a sky ride, and waterfalls all inside an edifice inside the Matterhorn, but Don got it built. Cool was his middle name. He was a wonderful guy with a great sense of humor.
I love
Aw.
that. That's so nice.
Don Cool Edgren. He was one of the lead engineers on New Orleans Square.
Oh,
he was-
man.
Yeah, one of the leads on Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
And he was one of the people that figured out how to take the ride underground, go under the berm, and extend the ride.
Wow.
Marty Sklar said of him, regarding his involvement with Pirates, he said, Don knew it was an engineering challenge, but he had that can-do spirit. Nothing was impossible. And yeah, he worked on Space Mountain, the one that opened in 1975 in the Magic Kingdom. His wife said of him that he loved to, when he worked in Florida, he loved to wear his waders and muck around the swamps with Walt and Roy.
Oh, my God. That would be cool, though. I mean, that's some good stories.
Right. Oh, yeah. Just hanging out with that crew, trying to figure out where they were going to do any of this.
Yeah.
His daughter said of him, I can't think of a soul who enjoyed life more than he did.
Oh.
Isn't that the point, man? That's a
Yeah.
good job.
Now, of his windows, plural, he has one at Walt Disney World on their main street. The window reads Superstructures Incorporated, Don Edgren. The window we're talking about here in Disneyland is Yes Men Engineering Associates. No
Yes
challenge. No challenge too big for our yes men. We know, no.
Ah.
We know.
Clever.
Okay. I love it.
Don Edgren, chief engineer. It's above the Silhouette shop.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And it was installed on April 29th, 2009, the same day that Rolly Crump got his Disneyland window. So guess who got more press?
Yeah.
I mean, look, man, it happens. You know, I do sort of feel bad because it seems like he's been outshined by Elton John, who is a literal knight, right? Sir Elton John, and then Rolly Crump, who friggin' should have been. You know?
And he
Oh,
also has
well.
to share that middle name with Rolly Crump because I feel like Rolly Crump's middle name has to be cool as well.
Really cool.
Something
Crump.
like that, yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, gosh. Well, that's our pal, Don Cool Edgren.
I like it. Nice job.
Very good.
I wonder when they're going to start selling like Main Street window merch, like shirts. I feel like people would wear a shirt with like the windows on the back of it or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, you
I
have
want
like
for
you have like
each.
a silhouette of like Main Street on
Maybe
the
that's your
front
job.
breast. I think that would go against so much of my like don't steal other people's art ethics. I couldn't do it.
I saw
couldn't do
somebody
it.
on Etsy was like selling recreations of the windows for people to like hang up in their house.
Hmm.
It was selling for a ton of money. I was like,
Sure.
why isn't Disney doing that? Like sell that in Disneyana for like I don't know, 500 bucks.
You
Yeah.
could even
Yeah.
sell like a 2-inch version that would people would
Like,
collect them all.
Because they
Yeah.
don't understand. They don't want. Here we go. They
Uh-oh.
don't understand what people actually want. And maybe that's incorrect because they clearly know more than I do about what sells in the parks. Maybe more people buy just crap, and so they can the markup on that, like $22 for a tumbler, like you're making $15 on that every single time. Whereas the Disney stuff, maybe, I mean, we go in there all the time, or we used to. Rarely have I seen anybody checking out.
Well,
In that
also
store.
rarely have we checked out.
Right.
We look at all the stuff and we want all of it,
But it's too expensive.
but we don't buy it.
Right.
So
Mm.
I think that's a big part of it too. Like, yes, it would be great if they had cool stuff. Would you buy it if they had cool stuff? Probably not, because it's going to be too expensive.
I think right now, so they have like a studios collection, which actually I'm wearing the hat from.
Yeah, it's a good hat.
That's like a throwback to the Walt Disney Studios stuff with a lot of oranges, a lot of like gold in it, and it looks really cool. They have like pencil cups for your desk that are like, they look like they're straight from the studio. It's really neat stuff, which I was like, do more of this. This is exactly what you need, especially in California,
Oh yeah.
where like
yeah.
it's not tourists like it is in Florida. You know, it's people
It's
who are going to take
three-rists.
this home. Yeah.
But I think that's where they go wrong, and they're catering more towards Instagram influencer TikTok things. You know what I mean, with the spirit jerseys and the different colors and the sequin mouse ears and stuff like that. People, I think that people buy that more to take pictures and put online. And I sort of feel like merchandising got caught up in that, and they're trying to amp that up because it's free advertising for them. They make a ton of money on the merch, and then people are just posting TikToks about what cute things they're wearing at the park and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I know people like it, but I feel like there's just, I don't know, there's so much more that they could be doing with that merch. And when we used to walk through like World of Disney and see the t-shirts, like, this is a t-shirt that you're selling for $35, and it's just literally a cartoon turkey leg, and then it says turkey legs on it. Like, really? The most uninspiring merchandise I've ever seen. People buy it, man. They were literally lining up to buy it.
Pictures
Don't
of
understand
snacks
it.
were hot for a while there. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, LGH is attacking in the chat.
Oh man.
Yeah. I'll have to send her a strongly written email.
A lot of people like those spirit jerseys.
Yeah, and I don't mean the spirit jersey specifically, but like the they have like the softer colors, and now they're like glittery and whatever, and it's like I don't know, maybe whatever. Spirit jerseys are, look, I'm not gonna lie, not my favorite thing. Don't like them.
Well, also color-wise and sparkly things, fashion is in a really weird place right now.
It is. I know.
I think it's just, that's where we're at, and it's not good. Because I was there in 1994. Like, I have already lived this, and it wasn't good then, but I was 12, so it was fine.
Sure.
Now it's just not good. It's not good.
I follow this dude on TikTok. He's a men's not fashion designer, but like, he helps people dress. You know what I'm talking about? What is that name? What's the term for that?
Oh, like a
personal shopper, assistant, something like that. Whatever. He'll be like, fashion, whatever. And his videos like, if you're looking for cool men's footwear this summer, I got you covered. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And it's like the worst dog crap. It's like these like sort of like Huaracha sandals or Huaracha whatever. They're like braided sandals, and they look terrible. Like, everything he's going through is like, I wouldn't wear this as part of a Halloween costume to dress up like these people. I don't know. It's weird, but he's like, this is the hottest. Like, this is what's going on in New York right now. I'm like, oh, can't do it.
But would you wear tie-dye Crocs?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Kidding me?
Just checking.
Wow.
Just checking.
Setting the level. Okay. All right.
Whatever. What are you gonna do? All right, RGA, just talk Disney Genie Plus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Genie Plus.
Yeah. I can't say. It's hard for me to say Disney Genie Plus.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
Is that why you always say it weird?
Yeah.
It is a mouthful.
It is, because it's I think like the sounds are on the opposite end of your tongue for too long.
It's fair. It's
Yeah.
fair. Well, yeah. So to start talking about Genie Plus, I wanted to kind of set the stage a little bit and talk through kind of some key terms and how it officially works before we get to the hacks and all the good stuff. So first, want to talk about Genie Vanilla, which honestly, like I said earlier, mostly worthless. It's supposed to be able to give you tips based on your interests and use projected wait times to basically tell you, hey, go to this area of the park. I know that there's been ideas thrown around about trying to do a whole day based on what Genie tells you, but based on my experience, that would be really terrible. It doesn't take walking distances into account. It doesn't take GPS into account. It basically is just like, hey, we think that right now is a really great time to go get on the carousel. You might be all the way over in DCA, but go get on the carousel. Cool, thanks. I don't need that, bro. Bye.
It doesn't take walking distance into account. I guess I didn't fully understand that.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, it does not. And in, I will say the carousel example is a little bit off base because you do have to like switch tabs to get between the parks, which is kind of weird in Disneyland, where realistically you just park hop no problem. In Disney World, it makes a lot more sense that you have to like switch tabs to get between parks because, you know,
Sure,
you have to get on a bus.
It's going to take half an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a good premise, and if they invest some money in it, it might be a good tool, especially from like the Disney puppeteer standpoint, right? Like if they can get it to kind of do the Waze thing, where Waze doesn't always give you the best route, but it gives it gives you the route that it wants to give you. And so I think, you know, if they could put some money into it, maybe work with like one of the companies out there that does better versions of this, to get that algorithm a little bit better, I think it could be a really good tool. Right now, basically pointless.
So can you like narrow it down and keep it? If you're in DCA, can you just say, I just want to hang in DCA for a few hours? It won't like feed you that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good at least.
Yeah. It does keep you in the park that you're in, and you feed it interests. So, you know, it should take your interest into account. I do find it a little bit limiting because you're limited on the number of interests you can give it, which I'm sure is an algorithm limit so that it doesn't, you know, just be like, cool, you want everything. I don't know what to give you. But there are some limits there. But realistically, the base app without Genie, just going in and looking at wait times in the actual app itself, is almost as useful, if not more useful.
That always struck me as like, why are you doing this Genie Plus thing? Because you can just find all that on the app anyway and figure it out. I sort of back to what I was saying earlier is Disney doesn't, I think, really know what customers want, what guests want. I think inherently going to the parks is part of that. What are we going to do? Let's look at the wait times and decide.
Yeah.
I don't think people really want to have their day planned out for them like this. I really don't think so, because it's not fun.
And it would be nice if it was like GPS based, right? Here's the wait times of the 4 rides that are close to you. That would be a nice little additional feature that you could add to the main app or something.
Yeah, but I think that takes the point away, because if they're just going to keep you in that same area, you know, then you could get stuck in that area. They want you to walk across the park. They want you to get out wherever you are, I think, and go somewhere else within the parks to like alleviate, you know, any pressure from that area. So maybe they could do the opposite, or it's like, you're here, there's low crowds over here, but add in the 5 minutes it's going to take to get over there. But maybe it doesn't matter. You know, I don't know. But
Disneyland's tight. I mean, it doesn't take that long to get around the place. You really hoof it.
That's fair. But yeah, I think there's a lot of room for improvement in Genie Vanilla, right? So this is the free Genie. This is not what you pay for. Lots of room for improvement there. Definitely, I would say I've never like used it. I've curiosity looked at it, but that's all. So now to get into the real meat, right? So what we all kind of came here for, Genie Plus. So Disney Genie Plus.
Did you forget? Disney Genie.
I forgot the Disney part.
Okay.
So Genie Plus. So as a Disneylander, and Disneyland centric kind of thought, you can think of this a lot like Max Pass. Very, very similar. One of the big differences, obviously, is there's no free way to get into the lightning lanes. So to get into the lightning lanes, you do need Genie Plus. It also includes Photo Pass on the West Coast, which is really nice. And I'll get into the tips and tricks with that here shortly. But
Okay.
On the East Coast, it also right now includes select attraction photos.
I love it. Seems it makes me sound like I'm getting a little bit more for my money. If you call it select,
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
well, not everything, but
No.
you don't need everything. We'll just give you a little taste. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like giving me too much, give me everything is be too much. It's like,
Yeah.
well, then I'm going to take it for granted. But select,
Yeah.
Select.
okay, all right, here we go. This is what I've been waiting for. But clearly a VIP. I don't get everything.
And then both coasts also get access through Genie Plus for some, like, they're basically Instagram filters or like TikTok filters that they call lenses that you can use in the app. And then also some audio content. I have not personally used either of those parts extensively. I've seen some of the pictures that come out of lenses. They're cute. It's like a, any social media of choice. It's those like lenses where they put a face on you, or Groot's
They should
riding
be
on your
doing
shoulder
that.
or something.
Yeah, that's absolutely. They should have been doing that 5 years ago or 8 years ago. Whenever Snapchat was like really popular, they should have jumped on that in a friggin' heartbeat.
Absolutely. And the audio content, I've heard really good things. I did a light search to try and see if anybody had like pirated it out to YouTube or anything like that, and I couldn't find it. But I've heard that it is interesting content. It's got some historical pieces to it, and
It's like
some,
tour guide stuff, or what exactly is it?
yeah, light tour guide type of information,
Right.
behind the scenes, like building stories and that sort of stuff.
That's cool.
The idea is you walk around the park and you listen to it.
I wonder how many and what percentage of guests do that?
2.
Yeah, I would
2%?
guess super low.
Or
2%.
two guests?
2%.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 guests in a day. I don't know.
Again, because part of your experience is listening to the background music,
Right.
to the
Like,
area
who wants
music.
to have like headphones on and just be, I don't know. It's weird. But maybe if
I don't know.
you're standing in line, maybe if you're by
Yeah.
yourself.
Lines,
Yeah, standing
or,
in line, sure, I get that.
or as an AP who's there like every weekend, and you're just like, you know what?
Okay.
This trip I'm gonna do the audio thing. I'm just gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I guess it's something. I mean, look, I don't know why I can't understand it. It's what we've been asking for as guests forever is just extra content that's free.
Right. But can you,
I
I
don't
mean, maybe RGH, maybe you have done this, but I can only imagine how terrible it is.
I've
Oh.
heard it's not bad.
Really?
I've heard that, like, who was it that it might have been Jimmy was talking about it.
Oh, well, Jimmy likes everything. You can't take
Yeah.
whatever he says. Someone stepped on my foot and I loved it. I thought it was, absolutely invigorating.
It was like getting a massage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
I
heard
thanked
it's-
them and I
it's
paid
not-
for their dinner.
It's not the usual Disney, like, super saccharine, super sanitized kind of stuff. It is it does have nuggets of interesting bits from what I've heard. Again, I tried to see if it was pirated online. I couldn't find it anywhere. I didn't search very hard, admittedly.
Do you have to be in the parks to hear it, to do it?
Yes, I believe that
Okay.
it is GPS based on that.
Yeah, so it's like a museum thing where you punch in is it the actual GPS, or do you punch in like 119?
I
no,
don't know
vintage
for sure on that one. Yeah.
Classically, he used paint. In much the same way we built buildings by using other buildings.
But yeah,
That sounds it sounds cool. It sounds cool. Hopefully, like you said, maybe it's not as saccharine. Hopefully, it's not like the podcast, the Travel
Yeah.
Disney
Oh,
Plan
gosh.
Disney podcast, which Jeremy was listening to the recent episode and like kept sending me clips.
Well, that's what made me
Homie,
think like
it's
this can't
awful.
be good.
Oh
but-
my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah,
this-
I think
this
because it's
lady-
a thing that that somebody's paying for and they've already suckered into the marketing. It's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to go through those filters.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. One of the hosts, I guess, on the recent show admitted, which I have to admit, talking about DCA, I love the attractions here. I have to admit it. Yeah, I love
Cool.
the purpose of the park. I love it.
She's really brave for admitting that.
It
So
was-
brave.
Not
So
everybody would
daring.
admit that they like the attractions.
Yeah, I mean, in
Yeah.
DCA, like,
That's almost as hot a take as Terrence's. Almost.
yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
So that's Genie Plus. That's what it gets you. As a reminder, unlocks the base lightning lanes. I'll talk about individual lightning lanes here second, but
Okay.
gives you photo pass here on the West Coast. East Coast, you select attraction photos. And then the filters and the audio content.
I wonder why. I'm going to keep doing this the whole show.
No, you're good.
because
You're
we have
good.
half an hour before the secret show. I was gonna say, I wonder why Disneyland, like, yeah, take photos of your PhotoPass screen. I don't really care. And then Disney World's like, nope, can't do it at all. Wonder what that is. Do more people in
Yeah.
Disney World
And-
pay?
It's been that way since Max Pass. So Max Pass included your photos. But Disney World has always done a different photo pass. Has always had a photo pass.
I wonder
separate.
I wonder if it's just because they have more international tourism over there. Like a lot of people from Europe go over
Yeah, and
there.
they push the here you can get the whole magical memory thing for your entire family for one purchase of $120. Like they were doing that back when I had my honeymoon in 2008. Of course, then we got it all on a CD.
Wait, a what?
That's what's weird on the cruise line. They ship you a flash drive. You don't get a download for your photos. The
Maybe
photo
because-
package is a,
Cruise ships have terrible Wi-Fi. I don't know.
I guess.
So
They
weird.
seem
dude.
really behind on certain things.
Well, their technology has always, unless it's in rides, it's always sort of been awful. Like their website goes down all the time.
Their website is terrible.
Yeah, it's just stuff like that. It's very weird. It seems very odd. But
I will say on the one last thing on the photo pass front.
Yeah.
You do take a lot more photos on the East Coast. From what I've noticed, more attractions have photo spots. More of the characters actually have photo pass cast members with them. Like on the East Coast, Pooh and all some of those have photo passes, but on the West Coast they don't. On the West Coast, Pooh is use your camera phone, right? And so I think that's also part of it, is just the value is greater. Like Disney is better about taking your photo on the East Coast than they are on the West Coast.
yeah.
Interesting. I actually I haven't ever really loved the photos that they take. I don't know. They seem they're like overexposed or something. Like they
I mean, they're high speed, low
they-
light, so
they look really fake.
it's not going to be good.
No, I
ever,
mean
but
even
yeah.
like in front of the castle, like those. Like, it's
Oh
like,
yeah, they are a little bright.
like everything's and,
Yeah.
and I
Washed
get that,
out and
but I tend to prefer my own photos to
Well, yeah, because
Those
the
ones.
photo pass person's not going to selfie you.
right.
Yeah, I feel like their quick edits that they do are not great. They're probably just applying a macro to it.
I don't
and-
even think they do edits. You
I
think they
know-
do
so-
edits?
yeah.
So after
yeah.
talking to one of the PhotoPass CMs, there is a set of humans who sit there and watch every photo come in throughout the day.
Oh my
And that's why it
God.
takes a little bit for it to upload to the app,
Mhm.
is because there are humans like monitoring and moderating those.
Sure. Yeah.
Which the PhotoPass CM I was talking to is like, yeah, so let's just say some of the ones that don't get pushed to the app maybe sometimes stick around.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move
yeah.
on. Right.
But yeah, moving on to Lightning Lane. So Lightning Lane comes in 2 flavors. I'm going to refer to one as base Lightning Lane. This is what Genie Plus unlocks for you. So base Lightning Lane is essentially Fast Pass. In order to get access to these, you need to have purchased Genie Plus for the day. Included in this level of Lightning Lane in Disneyland Park is Autopia, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, Haunted Mansion, Indy, Small World, Matterhorn, Millennium Falcon, Roger Rabbit, Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, and Star Tours. Over on the DCA side, you've got Goofy Sky School, Grizzly River Run, Guardians, Incredicoaster, Monsters Inc., Soarin', Toy Story Midway Mania, and Web Slingers.
I like Goofy Sky School is in there for some reason.
Yeah, and also Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. Like, who has ever had to wait on that ride?
And that's what's hilarious. So, funny thing I learned on this last trip we just went out there, when DCA is having a bad day with breakdowns, Monsters Inc. gets miserable. And I was talking to the CM about it, and it's because of another thing that I'll talk about here, select experience passes that kind of get you on anything. People go to Monsters Inc. because it's the only dependable one. And so their line just goes huge. The Lightning Lane line went all the way out to Hollywood Boulevard when I was there.
Holy cow.
Good gravy.
God,
And
on a
it's
day like
because
that,
everything else was closed.
Yeah, I would go back to the hotel.
I would
Yeah.
back to the hotel, take a rest, sit on a bench on Main Street. Like, I don't know, anything but
AKA
any of
the
that.
best ride, the best attraction.
if you do admit it.
Yeah. So then you have the individual lightning lanes. So individual lightning lanes, these of note, you do not have to buy Genie Plus to get access to these. You can just pay per ride on these specific rides. So generally these are kind of the best of the best or the newest. What's interesting is, so Disneyland Park, that's very true for. The 2 that are on there right now are Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway and and Rise of the Resistance. 2 big ticket attractions. Star Wars, almost every time I've looked at it, for Rise of the Resistance, it cost the same for the individual Lightning Lane as Genie Plus for the day. Which we'll get into my hacks, because it's stupid to pay for both. I'm not going to put it any other way. It is stupid to pay for both the same day. And then over in DCA, Radiator Springs Racers is your only individual Lightning Lane. Web Slingers recently came off. It was once part of that, but it came off. So it is Radiator Springs is your only thing.
Okay.
When you have the Genie Plus, the base, is that for both parks, or are they 2 separate?
Yeah, if you have a park hopper for the day, it works for both. You pay one.
So if you don't have a park hopper and you buy it, obviously it only works for the one park you're in, but you're technically still paying for both, right?
Yeah.
Is it the same price?
Yeah, it's a better value if you have a park hopper.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Now, notably not on Lightning Lane at all. Basically everything in Fantasyland. All your dark rides, Alice, Toad, Peter Pan, etc. None of those are on Lightning Lane. Jungle Cruise is not on Lightning Lane in California. In Florida, it is. Pirates does not have a Lightning Lane. Pooh doesn't need it. Gadget Go Coaster doesn't need it. Nemo generally doesn't need it, and Astro Orbiter generally doesn't need it. But the biggest hits of those, I think, that don't have Lightning Lane at all is all those Fantasyland dark rides, Jungle Cruise, and Pirates. Those kind of can get a little painful.
Nemo gets painful too, still.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of makes sense, because if you have, say, 3 kids, I feel like you're not gonna buy that for all 3 of your kids. So, like, when it comes to the kid-centric rides, it just doesn't make sense to go through that effort for those.
I think there's that, and I think it's also the space. Just to put in that line, like to put in an extra queue, there's just not space for it in those areas.
That makes sense.
Well, Jungle Cruise had Fast Pass, right?
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember. So
It definitely did.
yeah,
definitely did. Did it?
It did.
It did.
I know in Florida it did, and it
Yeah.
has lightning lane still.
Okay.
And then over in DCA, Luigi's, Mater's, Mermaid, the California Pier rides, Inside Out, the Ferris wheel, Jesse's Carousel, those do not have lightning lanes at all. Most of those are, 15-minute waits on a bad day, so don't really care. Now another thing that I don't see enough about out there, but will play heavily into our hacks a little bit later, is your select experiences pass. So the select experiences pass, this is what I would call your oops pass. This is the pass you're given when things go wrong. I've seen CMs kind of give it as a de-escalation tactic. I also, if a ride is broken down during your lightning lane arrival window, you get one of these select experience passes. These are tiered from my experience. So if something goes wrong while you're on Runaway Railway, for example, first day of our trip, we were on Runaway Railway. We got an in-show exit off of Runaway Railway, first ride of the day. Our select experience pass included everything except for Rise of the Resistance when that happened. Which makes sense, right? If Disney's considering Runaway Railway as like the second best ride on the property, not giving
I feel like
it
it's cheap though. I feel like
it's fair
because Runaway Railway, it's the newest ride. Assuming it's probably going to have one of the heaviest wait times. Give me anything out. It's just a friggin' ride.
Yeah.
It's just a ride. Let me go on Rise if I want to.
Yeah.
What do you care? Stop trying to control. You're micromanaging my entire, I'm talking to you just specifically, Taryn. You're micromanaging my entire trip.
Well, but let's say there's like, I don't know, how many people would they give that out to that are standing in line for?
And that's
that
so
ride?
that is what's interesting. So I also received a Rise of the Resistance select experience pass when I was in Disney World. That included everything at Hollywood Studios. Literally, I could go on anything with a fast pass at that point. And with Rise of the Resistance, if you've seen walkthroughs or you've seen ride throughs, if you don't get to where Rey is, the hologram of Rey, before you board the ship, you do not get a select experience pass. You just spent probably 2 hours in line and you
The
don't
worst
get
part of the line, yeah.
I would be so mad. I would be so mad.
Yeah.
But I also would never wait in a 2-hour line, like an over 2-hour line. So
that's why I don't feel like we're ever really going to see Rise of the Resistance, because
we're going to pay for it.
No, we're not.
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
you will
I'm
pay
gonna
for it.
and I'll tell you how it is.
Yeah, because I will never pay. I will never pay extra to go on a ride. I just will never do it.
See,
I will never do it.
It's so funny because we've circled back, right? We're back to ticket books, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah. So select experience passes. I also got a select experience pass from Big Thunder being closed, which is on base Lightning Lane. Pretty simple thing, right? It included a lot of things. It included everything except, I guess, because it actually gives you an everything except in the app. It did not include Space Mountain, Indy, Matterhorn, Runaway Railway, Peter Pan, Splash Mountain, or Rise of the Resistance in Disneyland, Guardians, Racers, Midway Mania, or Web Slingers in DCA.
That's a lot of exceptions.
Mhm.
But what is included, and we will get into this a lot in the hacks, is most of Fantasyland. So you can go in through the exit. You go up to the CM at the front of the ride and you're like, hey, I have a select experience pass. And you get ushered in through the exit.
Okay.
Which, as we'll talk about in the hacks, that is a way to use this to your advantage in particularly Fantasyland. So how to buy it in Disneyland? This changes. This is one of the things Disney has changed the most about this system.
Mhm.
So I'm going to base this off of the most recent way to buy it. On the most recent trip, you could either buy it for your full trip, all days, all guests up front when you buy your package through concierge, or you could buy it morning of once you had scanned into the park for that day. Nowhere in between. You couldn't add it on without canceling your whole trip and rescheduling it. You couldn't add it on like if at your original purchase you're like, nah, I don't need it, and then 6 months later you go, oh yeah, let's add it or whatever. That doesn't work. You have to wait until day of. It is a set price of $25 per person per day when you buy it in advance, but it is variable pricing when purchased day of. So it is flexible pricing day of. Upgrading ahead of time has been one of the things they flex the most on. So if you're planning a trip, talk with your concierge. This is where concierge actually makes a lot of sense, even as somebody who is literally sitting here telling you how to do all these things. Still go through concierge for this reason.
Look, they already got their plug, right?
I know.
Don't worry
I
about it.
know.
You don't have to impress me, Ryan.
You just
Individual-
live next door to each other. You can just walk across the street, dude.
There we go. Oh yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
of,
let me head over to his
Colorado.
room now. It's next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might as well unshackle him first, but
High five.
Individual lightning lanes can be purchased day of, and they are variable cost. So those are also I think I saw something crazy as high as it was like upper 30s.
Oh,
I think and that was like Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like that was
like Rise.
Yeah, Rise.
no,
Now most days it is down at the like 2025 mark, which is still a
that's
lot.
more sensible.
It's still a lot. Yeah.
You want to pay that, kudos to you. I'm definitely not trying to say that anybody who pays it is has too much money, but that is, I don't know, man. I couldn't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't morally. I can't do it.
Yeah. It's
I
tough.
can't.
I just think about the dumb stuff that we buy at Disneyland.
Like what? Name 10 things we bought that were stupid.
Look around.
I don't know.
Anyway, there's a lot of dumb things. Like a $7 churro is dumb.
When have we bought a $7 churro?
I'm
You've
not-
moved on
I'm not
from stuff that
giving-
we've bought?
I'm not giving you receipts. I'm
Okay.
just letting you know there's a lot of dumb things to buy at Disneyland.
Yeah.
I think
I wouldn't buy a $7 churro either.
It's definitely so. I will say the ride is so Rise of the Resistance is awesome. It hands down one of the best experiences, if not the absolute best experience in the parks right now.
I'm glad.
And so for every person that has a different value, right?
Mhm.
I will say I have purchased individual lightning lane for Rise of the Resistance before.
Mhm.
And I felt like it was worth it, but again, I'm also a huge Star Wars nerd, and like it was I calculated it in like a souvenir for that day. You think about it like as your souvenir for that day.
Yeah.
The memory is your souvenir, if you will.
Yeah, all right, whatever. Who cares? Let's go. Move on. Move on.
So in Disney World, you can only buy Genie Plus day of. It is variable cost by date. Starts at $15 a person a day, because you don't have that photo pass element, so it is a little cheaper usually on the East Coast. You can buy Genie Plus as early as midnight of the day you're headed into the parks. You don't have to be checked in. So you can, on my most recent trip in 2021 to Disneyland or to Disney World, this meant we were basically finishing our night by buying Genie Plus for the next day. So not setting an alarm for midnight, but instead you're usually going to bed in the parks at about midnight. So, hey, cool. Let me get on my phone, grab Genie Plus for the next day.
Smart.
How you officially use it. So how it officially functions by Disney's standards. Starting at 7 a.m., you can make your first ride selection. After your first ride selection, you can make your next selection after one of 5 things happens. And I know this sounds complicated, but stay with me. They make sense once you hear them.
Okay,
and then once you hear the subcategories, you'll really get it.
Yeah.
So you use your lightning lane, right? If you use it, you can get another one. If your lightning lane window closes. So if you are like, screw it, I don't want to go to Small World right now, and the lightning lane closes, cool. You can pick up another one. 2 hours passes. So this is a rule that was not well publicized in the beginning, has become more well publicized. So if it's a super busy day and you pick a lightning lane for, let's say, Indy, because that's one that always seems to be pushed out, that's 3:00 in the afternoon, you're picking it at 10 o'clock in the morning. At noon, you can pick another lightning lane. You cancel your current selection. So this is something they have added since launch, is the ability to cancel your selection, which is really nice. Freeze it up if you're like,
yeah,
you know what, I'm going to be in DCA instead of Disneyland. Let me cancel that.
Yeah. Or I bought a churro instead, so I can't afford it now.
Yeah. Or if your current selection becomes a select experience pass. So if the ride's broken down, you're free to pick another one.
Okay.
Throughout the day, you rinse and repeat this process over and over again. You're given a 1-hour arrival window per selection. For linking ride windows, it's really it's better in Disney World. They have the Magic Band all set up, so you just tap and you link it up. Disney Land, you have to type in an ID that pops up. PhotoPass CMs do have the ability to tap your Magic Band Plus in Disneyland, which is nice. There was originally a restriction of you can only ride each ride one time throughout the day on Genie Plus. That was at launch. That has been lifted, which is really nice, and also plays into some of the hacks. So that's how it is used officially.
Okay. That sounds good. Sounds like we're getting into hacks now, finally.
Yeah, let's get in. We're gonna
take a break though first before we do that.
Let's do it.
Hang on, everybody. We'll be right back. It's Ears Up, and RGH is telling us all about Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes and trying to justify paying $30 for Star Wars. We'll be right back.
And now, back to the show that ignites your dream wish of imaginations and magical color wonderment of forever. Ears Up.
That's right. We ignite things over here, everybody, which maybe it's, shouldn't really say this close to fire season in California, but, what are we going to do? Speaking of the warmer weather, Darren, summer is right around the corner, and our friends at the 21st Amendment are celebrating the return of the warmer days with their popular and everyone's favorite seasonal beer, Hell or High Watermelon Wheat. You just had this for breakfast this morning.
I did.
The brewers at the 21st Amendment brew an American wheat beer with real watermelon juice, creating a refreshing, fruity, and quenching beer, or what they affectionately call summer in a can. Hell or High Watermelon Wheat will make any weekend barbecue or beach time activity that much better. When visiting the California Bay Area, be sure and stop in at the 21st Amendment's San Francisco Brew Pub at 563 2nd Street, just 2 blocks from where baseball is played. And also be sure and visit their brewery tap room just across the Bay Area in San Leandro with an outdoor beer garden. Not just an outdoor beer garden, the outdoor beer garden. Just tell you that right now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's talk about some hacksaws, dude.
Let's do it. So one I want to bring up real quick. So I mentioned that you can cancel your Genie Plus selection. Marie in the chat did bring up a very good point. If you are absolutely trying to maximize your use of it, you also have the option to modify your selection. So
Okay, that's better.
yeah, depending on what if you're like, I need to take the midday break and go back to the pool instead of do anything right now, and all the lightning lanes are right now, go ahead and cancel it. But otherwise, modify it and pick up something else.
Yeah, I mean, more likely with this group, it's like I had that 10:30 reservation at Oga's, and now 2:00 on Jungle Cruise or Indy is not going to happen.
It's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
So I need to go nap. I need to sleep off my Oga's reservation. Sorry.
I will say, if you have Oga's reservation backed up to a Millennium Falcon Fast Pass, that's a good time.
It makes that ride better.
The GHs may or may not have drunk driven the Millennium Falcon.
Oh
in Disney
no.
World. I felt really bad for the kids that were engineers on that ride.
Oh, they're hitting all the buttons.
Jeez.
But number one tip and trick, hack, whatever, that I want to put out there is carefully consider if you even want to buy it. It is not an auto include for every day of your trip. It is more useful depending, as you probably started to pick up on as I listed rides, depending on what the makeup of your group is, depending on depending on where you are, what park you're in, you're gonna have varying levels of success and varying levels of value with it. I think on the Disneyland side, Disneyland Park, it is very useful. So if you are not park hopping and you are only in Disneyland for the day, I think Genie Plus is worth it. You can get on to some rides that are gonna be miserable waits otherwise. Worth it. DCA, I don't know that it's super worth it if that's your only park for the day.
But I heard on the Plan Disney podcast that this person, their secret is that they like the attractions in DCA. So I heard that maybe it is worth it.
Yeah. The only lines that really get long, even on miserable days like this. So on my most recent trip, a Tuesday was a crazy day. Like 2-hour waits for like Haunted Mansion, kind of crazy.
Stuff must have been down, I feel like.
There was stuff that was down, like Splash Mountain was still open but was like intermittently going down. So every time it would go down, Winnie the Pooh would spike to an hour wait. And so there was some problems. It was also right around grad season. It wasn't a grad night that night, but it was right around grad season. And I walked past 2 CMs having a conversation of like, why were we getting crushed today? Like, it was just one of those unlucky days where you end up in the parks.
Just one of those days.
Yes, exactly.
Everything there.
So yeah, DCA, maybe not super worth it. In DCA, even on a busy day, the rides that get long are like Guardians, and that's about it. Everything else is going to stay under an hour. Even Web Slingers, which is the brand new thing, super fun ride. I liked it, but still stayed under an hour generally. So
yeah, because I feel like it's not for everybody, and I feel like they messed it up by having the toy that makes you shoot different stuff.
You mean this one that's right up behind me that's mounted on a 3D printed
there you go, yeah. But it's nothing against anyone who bought it, but I feel like it's you are. And we said this when it was announced that they were selling these things, where you sort of now have 2 classes of people riding this ride. Yeah. And I feel like it's going to prevent people from riding it because they can't do the big thing. They're only relegated to just being a plebe, and they can't have the cool web shooter because they don't want to pay the $50 or whatever. So
they're
it's like,
highly discounted right now. I will say.
Gee, I wonder why.
I suspect, based on and this will get into one of the topics that I'm going to cover in some other episode of this show, but there's a lot that's about to change in Marvel in in Avengers Campus, I think, based on what was on sale. There was like 30% sales on certain characters, like any merchandise from certain characters. There was the like specialized web shooters were they were like, I think the base thing that you have, because you have to buy two things to do it.
Oh my!
Of course you do. Yeah.
Well,
Of course
I
you
guess
do.
you can buy one thing and use it, and it makes sure you shoot two webs at a time, and then to upgrade it, like to do the Iron Man thing, like I have, you have to buy a second thing. Some of those characters were more than 50% off. Some of the like second upgrades were more than 50% off, and the base like the base thing that you get was, I think, 50% off. So that tells me that they're either spinning it down or something. I think,
but you can't, right? You can't fully get rid of it.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's still in the
people
it's in the programming, so people can bring it, but you don't have to sell it, I guess.
Do you want to know my hack for this ride?
Not going.
If you want to do it, go single rider. It's a great single rider because you get to see the pre-show. You get to go down a different, slightly themed hallway than everybody else. And in the end, you get stuck onto a ride with a dad and 3 kids. And everybody's just going like this. And at the end, somebody goes, wow, that guy got a lot of points. And you're like, yes, I did, children. And then you leave.
That's fair. That's fair.
I have a question about your wand thing that you bought.
Your wand. Yep, that's what it is. It's a wand.
I mean, I have one of those too, but and a lightsaber.
Will you bring it back with you when you go? Will you remember, and will you consciously do that?
I will, and part of why I have confidence that I will, and I'll share this. I brought my wand to Florida. I bought it in California. I brought it to Florida with me. I have 2 Savi's lightsabers that I've built that I have brought back into the parks. One I built in California. I took it to Florida. The other one I built in Florida. I have each Lisa and I have 2 of the Droid Depot droids that we're working on customizing and like painting and distressing, and we have taken them back to the parks. And in fact, I just booked a Disney cruise through Concierge, and you can't take the droid on the cruise ship, but I'm taking like a small model of it to like take fun pictures of.
Nice.
So I'm the guy who does bring all that back.
Okay, that's fair.
But does the average kid who begs their dad to buy them the Iron Man thing that I don't think people bring
I tell you what, if Alice had that and we were going back and she's like, I want to bring the thing, I would no. Because then now we have to pay for a friggin' locker to put it in when we're not using it. And then if we're in DCA and we want to do the thing, you have to go back over there and get your lot, and then do the thing. Yeah. Absolutely not. You don't.
I talked to a guy in line when I was wearing mine to go do because I bought the Iron Man one.
Say it again, Ryan.
So when I was
tell
in
us
line,
again that you bought the Iron Man one.
I was talking to a guy, and he was talking to me. He's like, he noticed it. He's like, oh, this guy's strapped up. He's gonna take care of us. And I was like talking to him, and he said he had an AP buddy who had bought all of them, all the additional add-ons.
How many are there?
There's Iron Man Rescue, Ghost Spider, Miles, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man. So I think there's 6, if I remember right.
Wow. I bet he's happy that they're all on sale now.
Yeah, right. But I guess so. I was talking to this guy, and his buddy, goes back, and he was asking his buddy, he's like, do you get more points? Like, and the guy's like, no. The buddy who does it is like, no, I don't get more points, but I feel cool. Which I think that's kind of the thing of it, right?
Yeah,
if you want to be Iron Man, you buy it. If you want to be Doctor Strange, you buy it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, moving back to our tips and tricks about Genie Plus, Disney World, which is, I think, where you have a little bit, because you're going to do less park hopping in Disney World. You're going to be in the same park all day. Epcot, not worth it. The Disney Genie Plus is not worth it for Epcot. There's only a couple of rides especially only a couple of rides that get long. Rope Drop, one of them. Virtual Queue Guardians, while it's still available, and go Rope Drop Test Track.
Test Track, yeah, for sure. Dude.
Because if maybe if you have somebody who wants to do Frozen, go Rope Drop that. But otherwise, there's just not a lot that gets long there, so not worth it.
And let's be honest, we don't go to Epcot for the rides.
Exactly. Animal Kingdom, also, it's not useful there. Genie Plus is not useful at Animal Kingdom. Everest has a single rider.
Great single rider.
Yeah. And I think I think because the big Avatar ride is an individual lightning lane.
Right.
So it's your Navi River Journey is about the only other thing. Woo.
Maybe skip it.
Yeah. Magic Kingdom, it is useful. Genie Plus is useful at the Magic Kingdom. I think Castle Parks overall. That's the takeaway.
Okay.
Hollywood Studios, it's a little bit of an 50-50. It can be useful depending on how much Star Wars you want to do, how much Toy Story you want to do, that sort of stuff. So Hollywood Studios, take a look at the rides, think about it. Might also just be worth it to just buy the one ride. The value is less if you're just buying the one ride of Rise of the Resistance. But if it means you get to do all the other rides plus do Rise of the Resistance,
I guess.
Think of it as buying those 2 hours you'd be waiting in line. Think of it as buying the ability to go do Muppets during that time. Or go do the indie show or something, during those 2 hours that you would be waiting in line, you're buying back those 2 hours.
The way that I look at it is I'm paying premium price to get into the parks to have access to everything. I should have access to everything. I shouldn't have to pay extra to experience the things. But you guys do what you want to do.
Now on the West Coast, PhotoPass could make a Genie Plus purchase worth it, depending on what the purpose of your trip is, the makeup of your family, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to go get the castle photo, you want to get the flower photo, you want to get all those photos, it's somebody's first time. The PhotoPass may make that sale for you.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, if you are buying it with the PhotoPass as your only goal, don't buy it for your whole group. One person buy Genie Plus, and that's it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then just link all the photos to their account, let them download it, and you're good to go. In that same vein, if the group makeup is such that you don't have a lot of thrill seekers, you can kind of use Genie Plus to create your own single rider line. Lisa and I actually did this on our most recent trip. It was Ted's first trip, so we wanted it for the PhotoPass mostly. But what we could do is we could get a lightning lane for, let's say, Indy, and we would get it. And on this trip, our experience was that it was usually not far out to get that one. So you get it, and then you get another one as soon as it opens back up. You just get another lightning lane for Indy. And then
and
the
so
other
you guys
person...
are both using the same account,
exactly.
like the same phone.
Exactly. Okay. Makes it totally worth it if, it's better than rider swap because you don't have to wait in the actual standby line. So no one has to wait in the standby line instead of one person having to wait in the standby line. So Genie Plus you can use it to make your family's own little single rider line, depending on, how far out the lightning lane reservations are and that sort of stuff.
That makes sense.
Screenshots of lightning lane redemptions and select experience passes do work. Now, I don't know. I don't know if a screenshot of a canceled lightning lane works. I would imagine not. I didn't test that, but I did test. I ran into a friend in the parks, and they had some of those select experience passes that I was talking about left. There's for whatever reason, however they got them, they were available for multiple days. Usually it's only available for the day that the thing goes down. So I don't know if they had a really bad experience and so the park gave it to them. I know it was their honeymoon, so I don't know if maybe they told Town Hall that, and Town Hall was like, "Oh, let's make a little magic for you." I have heard some of those experiences are coming back to the park, so maybe that's it. I don't know. But he screenshotted the select experience passes and sent them to me. And then we used those screenshots to get on rides. So it can work that way.
That's cool.
Which is kind of cool. I also watched somebody do that on Main Street, which is, the old school thing where you used to be like, "Hey kid, do you want to go ride Indy? Here you go."
That was the best.
I saw somebody do that, which you have to exchange phone numbers and send screenshots, which starts to get a little questionable at some level, but that's still alive to some degree as long as you can screenshot and send from phone to phone.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And then broken down, this is the big hack. So broken down rides still vend lightning lanes. Some lightning lanes are vended as far out as 5 minutes. So you can, and I did this. This is how I got the Big Thunder Mountain one. I saw Big Thunder Mountain was 5 minutes out. It was listed as currently unavailable. So I picked up a lightning lane for it. It almost immediately turned into a select experience pass.
Wow.
And so, as I mentioned earlier, Fantasyland accepts select experience passes. So if you are, sitting at lunch or you're waiting in a line, whatever, and you're kind of scrolling through the app and you see something that's broken down, check and see when its lightning lane is. And if it's real soon, pick up that lightning lane and let it turn into a select experience pass. The worst case scenario, this happened to me as well. I tried to gamble on it. I picked up Indy when it was down. It was like 30 minutes. And I was like, Indy's usually down for at least 30 minutes when it's down.
Yeah.
So I picked it up. Indy came back up. Worst case scenario, you're stuck with the fast pass for a
Gotta
ride.
go on Indy.
Yeah. Exactly. Now I did see, and I didn't think of this, but as I was doing research for this segment, I saw the ultimate version of this, which is very gamification, which is for those rides that are 5 minutes out and they are broken down. Get your select experience pass, get the lightning lane again, and keep doing that and just stack up select experience.
That's amazing.
I mean, why not?
If they're gonna let it be broken.
Right.
And do those select experience, those just pop up automatically for you when that happens?
Yeah, you just get a little push notification on your phone that's like, hey, something has changed about your plans, I think is the way it says. Okay. And you open it up and it's like, okay, cool, this is a select experience pass now. And they're actually, for the company, they're surprisingly giving with those. If it is like 5 minutes into your window and it is broken down, it turns into that select experience pass right then. It's not all the way, it's not if it's broken down for that whole hour that you have to arrive or anything like that, or like up until the last 5 minutes they wait to give you that. It's pretty right. It's pretty immediate.
That's cool.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is the big hack, is the broken down.
That's a great hack.
Yeah. Marie's in the chat. She's like, "Oh man, I was hoping that no one would talk about that."
Sorry, Marie.
All I kept thinking is like, oh, here's our headline for this show. This is what this show's about. Is that right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like I say, the two big hacks here. One is, and this isn't really a hack, right? We rail on sites for calling things hacks when we're doing walkabout when they're not really hacks, but
yeah.
Do seriously consider the value proposition of Genie Plus for your group, right? Thrill seekers are going to get more value out of it than somebody who just wants to go ride the dark rides and the benches.
For sure.
The photo pass makes it a whole different thing, and the hack there is you only need one. You don't need everybody to have it
There you go.
if you're just looking at the photo pass.
All right, what else do you got? Because we are late for Secret Show, people.
I apologize. That is all I have.
It's not your fault, Betty. All right, very good, Ryan. Thank you very much. I feel like that is useful information, and I will not give Marie your email address so she cannot harass you. Okay, we are gonna get out of here if I can do my thing properly. There we go. Trying to get my thing. Let's go. All right. Yeah, we are popping right over to the Secret Show. That link is already in Patreon, so go ahead and check that out and meet us over there. We're going to go make the drink real fast, and we'll start the news. I got a ton of news. There's a lot going on, actually. Ryan, thanks a lot very much, man. Appreciate it. And if you want more of Ryan, you can catch him on Puny Pod. So go subscribe wherever greater podcasts are subscribed to. And all that kind of fun stuff. So, yeah, thank you very much. We'll see you guys on The Secret Show. And until next time, we'll see you in the parks.